Hey everyone, I'm Amy. I'm 29, and after years of hard work, I climbed my way up to marketing manager at one of Chicago's top firms. If there's one thing people know about me, it's that I'm reliable. And no one knew that better than my brother James. We were inseparable, weekly dinners, inside jokes, the whole 9 yards. Until Victoria came along. Amy, you have to meet her. She's amazing. James had gushed the first time he introduced us. I'm sure we'll be great friends, Victoria had said with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. At first, the changes were small. A canceled dinner here, a forgotten text there. Sorry, Amy, Victoria already made plans for us tonight. Then it was entire weeks without a word. My best friend, Diana, was the first to call it out. Girl, when was the last time James actually showed up for your Thursday coffee? He's just busy, Di. Wedding planning and all. Or maybe someone's keeping him busy on purpose. Even Victoria's sister, Chelsea, seemed uneasy. At a family barbecue, she pulled me aside. Amy, I need to tell you something about Vike. Chelsea. Victoria appeared out of nowhere, her smile tight, her tone ice cold. Mom needs you in the kitchen. Now. At work, my colleague Marcus tried to warn me too. You know, I've heard some stories about Victoria from mutual friends. But I brushed it all off. I wanted to believe James had found someone wonderful. Then came the wedding planning. Victoria took over everything, leaving me out of dress fittings, cake tastings, venue tours. Oh, did you get my text about the bridesmaids brunch? Must have been a glitch. And James, my brother, my best friend, became a stranger. He checked his phone before answering me, like he needed permission to speak. James, want to grab lunch tomorrow? Let me check with Victoria first. Just when I thought I was being completely shut out, Victoria called. Her voice was all sugar and silk. Amy, darling, I've been thinking. You simply must do a special reading during the ceremony. It would mean so much to us. And you'll need to help coordinate the reception entrance. You know, make sure everyone's in their proper place. I trust you can handle that responsibility. Diana didn't buy it for a second. This feels like a setup, Amy. Maybe she's finally trying to include me. Or maybe she's planning something. Nobody changes their spots that fast. I wanted to believe it was an olive branch. I wanted to believe Victoria had finally decided to let me in. Looking back, I should have listened to Diana. Because what happened next at the wedding reception? That's when everything really fell apart. The wedding day. It started like a nightmare. I was just about to leave when I heard Mrs. Peterson screaming next door. I rushed over and found her on the floor, her face contorted in pain. Her hip, badly hurt. Please don't leave me alone, dear. I'm scared. How could I just walk away? I called 911 and stayed with her until the ambulance arrived. My hands were still shaking as I checked my phone, 20 minutes late. I ran into the reception hall, breathless, heart pounding. And that's when all hell broke loose. How dare you show up now? Victoria's voice cut through the music like a blade. I barely had time to catch my breath before she was on me, her face twisted in fury. Where were you during the entrance lineup? There was an emergency. Emergency? She let out a sharp laugh. You're just trying to ruin my special day. You couldn't stand that your brother found happiness, could you? The room went silent. 200 pairs of eyes turned toward me. Whispers spread like wildfire. James appeared, walking toward us. Relief surged through me. Surely he'd listen. Surely he'd defend me. James, I can explain. Save it, Amy. His voice was cold. Unfamiliar. You've always been jealous of Victoria. I can't believe you do this today of all days. James. Just leave. You've done enough damage. I stood there frozen. Victoria smirked, turning to her friend Ashley, loud enough for the nearby guests to hear. Worked perfectly. Told her the wrong time on purpose. Knew she'd fall for it. They laughed like it was the funniest joke in the world. Nearby, Chelsea's face paled. Oh my God, Vic, you didn't. Victoria shrugged. Of course I did. Had to put little Miss Perfect in her place. Who shows up late to a wedding? Now everyone knows what kind of person she really is. I felt a hand on my shoulder. Deanna. Her phone was out, recording everything. Don't worry, she whispered. I got it all. Every nasty word. But it didn't matter. Because at that moment, all I could see was James, my brother, my best friend, standing with his arm around Victoria, glaring at me like I was nothing. You should be ashamed of yourself, he spat, making a scene at my wedding. Victoria's crocodile tears started flowing. I just wanted everything to be perfect. The room blurred. Some faces were sympathetic. Others, judgmental. Chelsea tried to speak up. James, wait. You don't understand. Stay out of this, Chelsea. I straightened my spine, forcing myself to look Victoria in the eyes. Congratulations on your wedding, I said quietly. I won't bother you again. Diana grabbed my arm. Amy, don't go. We can show them the recording. Not now, Di. Just, not now. I walked out with my head held high. But my heart was shattered. The last thing I heard was Victoria's triumphant laugh, and James's voice, cold and final. I never thought my own sister would stoop so low. 6 months later, I threw myself into work. My new marketing campaign caught the CEO's attention, landing me a promotion to senior marketing director. But Victoria wasn't done with me. Did you hear what James's wife is saying about Amy? I overheard the whispers in the break room. Something about stealing from her last company. I turned to confront them, but Marcus stopped me. Don't give her the satisfaction, he murmured. I got friends at her firm. They're already looking into some suspicious activity in her department. Meanwhile, Chelsea started sending me screenshots. Chelsea, Mom and Dad can't come for Christmas anymore. James, in a recording, we always spend it together. Victoria, they criticized my cooking last time. Besides, I already promised my family we'd go to their place. Chelsea, texting me. That's not what happened at all. She told her parents you and James wanted space from them. Then Diana dug deeper. Diana. Emmy, your parents called. Victoria told them you were too busy for their anniversary dinner. Me? What? I never. Diana? Exactly. I've got 10 more examples of her lying about conversations that never happened. And then, the breaking point. Chelsea called me, crying. She screamed at Mom. She choked out. Mom brought over soup when James was sick. Victoria said she was undermining her as a wife. James finally saw it. James, in the background, shocked. Did you make my mother cry? Victoria, she's suffocating us. Always dropping by unannounced. Chelsea, she called first. You said it was fine. Victoria, oh, so now you're taking their side? Just like your ungrateful sister. James, leave Amy out of this. It was a crack, a small one, but a crack nonetheless, and the truth kept unraveling. Marcus stopped by my office. Remember those friends at Victoria's company? They found something big. She's been funneling client payments into a personal account. Diana added another piece to the puzzle. I talked to their wedding vendors. She didn't just mess with your timeline. She did it to half the wedding party. I have emails proving she created chaos on purpose, to play the victim. Then came Chelsea's latest message. Chelsea, James found Victoria's burner phone. She's been texting herself, pretending to be different family members, starting drama. And another. Chelsea, your dad stopped by their house today. Victoria screamed at him for bringing James's favorite childhood photos, called it emotional manipulation. Then a voice recording. James, shaken, she did what? Chelsea, you should see how she talks about your family in our group chat. I save everything. A final message from Chelsea. Chelsea, James found Victoria's notebook. She had a whole plan. How to isolate him from everyone. Starting with you, Amy, he's finally seeing the truth. And then, for the first time in months, my phone lit up with James's name. I stared at it and let it go to voicemail. Some bridges once burned should stay that way. I had a meeting to attend. When the news broke, Victoria's perfect world imploded spectacularly. An anonymous tip exposed her embezzlement scheme. Turn on the news, Diana texted. Your ex-sister-in-law is doing the perp walk. Chelsea called seconds later, breathless. They found everything, Amy. The fake accounts, the forged documents. She's looking at serious time. And just like that, the house of lies collapsed. Then came the flood of revelations. Chelsea had finally shown James everything. The burner phones, the manipulative texts, the recorded conversations. Every calculated move Victoria made to isolate him from his family. From me, my assistant poked her head into my office. Miss Anderson, your brother's here again. I didn't even look up. Tell him I'm in a meeting. A pause. Then his voice, raw pleading. Emmy, please. James pushed past her before she could stop him. I was wrong, he choked out. I see everything now. I finally looked at him. The brother I had once adored. The one who had thrown me away. 3 years too late, James. His shoulders sagged. She manipulated me. And you let her. My voice was steady. Cold. Every time she hurt me. Every time she hurt our parents. You chose her. His face crumpled. I'm getting a divorce. Please, you're my sister. I shook my head. No, James. I was your sister. Now I'm just someone you used to know. The fallout was swift. His law firm put him on leave. Turns out, being married to a convicted felon wasn't great for a corporate lawyer's image. That night, Diana showed up with wine. His second wedding invitation arrived at my place. She smirked. He knows you moved. I sipped my wine. Paris is lovely in June. And just like that, I booked our flights. Victoria's sentencing came and went. 5 years for embezzlement. James filed for divorce before she even made bail, Chelsea told me. I barely reacted. By then, I had moved on. My housewarming party was filled with real friends. No toxic family allowed. Marcus brought his famous lasagna. To Amy's promotion to VP of Marketing, he toasted. And to karma, Diana added. My phone buzzed. Another text from James. I'm getting married again. Sarah's different. She'd love to meet you. I clicked delete and raised my glass. You sure about skipping his wedding? Diana asked. I smiled. Some bridges should burn. Besides, I hear the Louvre is gorgeous that time of year. The last I heard, Victoria was still writing desperate letters from prison, begging James to understand. It was all a misunderstanding, she'd written. Chelsea sighed. He finally blocked her number. As for me, I hung up photos from our Paris trip in my new home office. No family pictures, no wedding memories, no reminders of what was. Just images of the life I chose, successful, peaceful, and completely toxic-free. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even. It's walking away, building something better while they drown in their own chaos. Let them deal with their own karma. I'll be sipping champagne under the Eiffel Tower. Another postcard from James, Diana said, dropping off my mail. I didn't even glance at it, just added it to the pile of unopened ones in my desk drawer. Some chapters need to stay closed. Looking out at the city skyline, I smiled. My life was fuller without the drama, richer without the toxicity, and absolutely perfect without the family that chose lies over love. Besides, Paris was calling again. And this time, we were staying for a month. What would you do? If your sibling chose their toxic spouse over you, then years later came back begging for forgiveness, would you give them another chance? Or would you protect your peace, like I did, and choose Paris instead? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your take on family loyalty versus self-preservation. And if this story resonated with you, don't forget to like and subscribe for more real stories about overcoming toxic relationships and choosing yourself. Because sometimes the hardest choices lead to the most beautiful destinations.